Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here. Today is the 8th day of December 2016. If you're a fan of rock and roll, today would be the anniversary of Jim Morrison's birth. Otherwise, other than that, let me show you what's going on here today. We have a sun sign in Sagittarius. A moon sign is in Aries. It just went into Aries this morning at 4:15 a.m. It's going to be over there for the next couple of days. We had one energy, our imagination, into the mix around 6:02 a.m. And then later this evening, Aries is going to be in a square with Mercury, the communicator. Okay, the Mercury, the communicator. So again, the whole idea with this, everything is energy. We walk and we move within a field of energy. This field of energy operates from Earth, from the ground, from the Earth, all the way up through the dome, the ionosphere. Here we are moving within this sea of energy that is affected by everything that everyone thinks, all the activities, all the actions going on in the world. Everything is part of the sea of energy. So we move through this energy, and our conscious mind is affected by it, and our unconscious mind. Our conscious mind are the things we're thinking about. Our unconscious mind are the things that we're not consciously thinking about, but are under the surface trying to make their way to the top. And they keep changing every couple days. Our unconscious mind keeps going. It keeps bringing us into another idea. So we have two different wheels taking place here. We have the conscious mind, the zodiac, moving slowly over the course of a year, and then we have those same 12 signs of the zodiac making its way every month through a whole cycle as well. So there's multiple cycles going on here of both aspects of the mind being activated here. So the higher self, this is the conscious mind, Sagittarius. This is what we're looking for. We're looking and we're working to help connect with our higher self, that part of ourself that knows the truthfulness of things. And so with that, the activities of the world, the discoveries of the world are all going to be based around the ideas of truthfulness. We're tired of the lies, tired of the BS. We want to connect with that higher part of ourselves. And right now we've got the perfect opportunity to move forward because we have the pioneer. We have Aries setting things in order. So our conscious mind wants to organize, put things in order. And we keep going through these cycles. So if we don't get it right once, 12 signs later, we're going to get another chance to do it again. And we keep getting an opportunity to reinvent ourselves, or to rework something, or to do it better, and so on and so forth. You get the idea what I'm saying, right? So those are the two energies we're dealing with. One's a fire sign, the conscious mind, Sagittarius, and Aries is also a fire sign. So there's lots of fire energy around us today. Fire energy are ideas. Okay, we have fire energy, fire flickers. So just think how fire moves. We have energy around us that is flickering, that is moving, that is stimulating us to have different ideas and think about how to process them. So today's a good day to really kind of move forward with any plans that you have. Of course, everybody is affected differently by the different signs depending on what your birth sign is and where the planets and stars were at the time. But we can kind of get a general overall look at things of what's taking place consciously from a society level and what's taking place unconsciously from a society level. And those are the big areas because we are all part of that society. Okay, on an individual basis, we have our individual psychology, and we're all affected by what's going on here. But on a larger scale, our individual psychology merges into the larger sociology, the largest society, and therefore what we think and what our psychological makeup is during our personal thoughts and moments, well, that affects the social group as well. So it's important then that we fix ourselves. We know ourselves. We're able to understand what's going on with us. That allows us to contribute more to the big picture. Okay, so there you go. So that's on the, this is the Gregorian calendar, the 8th, year 2016. Now if we go to the Jewish calendar, we're year 5777. Okay, the month is Kislev. This is the month of Hanukkah, which comes up later in this particular month, a couple weeks. Around the same time that Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah will be going on this year. Okay, so today's 8 Kislev, lined right up with the 8th of the month. The moon phase for today, 64.2% of the way full, making its way up to the full moon that we're going to be at on the 13th, which is Tuesday. This Tuesday, the 13th. Solar wind currently at 490.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet at the moment. However, we are looking to be unsettled energetic-wise over the course of the next 24 hours. Big hole in the sun opening up, certainly affecting us here on Earth. M-class flare possibility and X-class both at 1%, so not much chance we're going to get one of those. Geomagnetic storm activity, mid-latitude seems to be decreasing slightly, 35 down to 30%, 10 down to 5. And the high latitudes seems to also be decreasing from the minor and severe ranges, 20, 15, 20 to 10. But there is a little activity going on as well, coming from all of the flares and the solar wind and so forth. So that is what is going on for the course of this day. Lots of fire energy around us. So with fire energy, prepare to have lots of ideas around you. Get a pen and paper ready. So if you have these ideas, jot them down. If you feel like today's a day of organizing things, he who sets an order, he being the conscious mind. So we're working to stimulate the conscious mind, the higher self, to put things in order for us, to put things in order so that we can move through. And when things are ordered, then we're able to move through life in a more efficient way than if things are unordered and chaotic. All right, there you go. That is our cosmic weather for today. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right. Thank you very much, Dirk. So today, I've got 4 stories for you. Story number 1 comes to us from Norway. It says UFO forms a giant wormhole over Norway, turning night into day. We have 3 videos of this. So what we're going to look at here, I'm going to show you the video momentarily, but I want you to see what we're going to be looking for. Okay, we're going to see an object moving from right to left across the screen. As it gets into the middle of the screen, you'll see it'll be nighttime in the shot. As it gets to the middle of the screen, something seems to open up here, and then everything's going to get really bright. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. It's going to go through a couple of times. It says, would you like, what you see here is a UFO opening up a wormhole to just disappear. As proof, I would like you to see the photo above. Add light all around the UFO to shoot. I added light all around the UFO. You see blackness. It's not natural. It's a black hole being formed for the UFO to shoot through. Okay. So let's see if I can catch that as it moves through here. Let me try it again here. As it moves through, see if I can. Alright, here we go. Okay, if you enlarge the video. He certainly makes it easy to see, but there you go. So that's what we've got. Some sort of a wormhole opening up there. Okay, Derbyshire, UK. We have a eyewitness on Snapchat. This is what they saw. It's a little fuzzy and blurry, but nonetheless, it is something up there. It says diamond-shaped UFOs over Derbyshire, UK. Skip to about 2 minutes. Sorry, the beginning, I don't know what I saw. They were really big in size. Diamond-shaped, silently traveling some big speeds and then colliding with each other at times. As I was driving and kept on pulling over to get them on camera, I traveled a radius about 5 miles. I saw a 20-mile radius on Snapchat. As I was kind of excited, some other vehicles must have seen it. It was pretty busy. Any other footage or any other ideas? Alright, the video's 3:45. She says to jump ahead to the 2-minute mark so we don't necessarily see her in the parking lot here. Her or him, it doesn't really say if it's a he or a she. Alright, there we go. It says UFOs LOL. Ha ha ha. But then as moving along, we get to the 2-minute section here. There was a sighting. And let's jump over here. There we go. There's our objects in the sky. It's only for a moment, then the moment's gone. There we go. Alright, let's move past that to the next story here. This is a story. Only very short amount of information here. After getting crunk in Las Vegas, retired Area 51 employee makes some startling admissions. What do you think about this testimony? Please leave your comment below. So check out this video here. It's only a short video. Length of time of the video is 3 minutes and 11 seconds. But it's a good video. It discusses what this former employee claims to have seen over there in terms of extraterrestrial craft, talking about the various alien races. He alluded to the Greys being a friendly race, helping us, whereas there was another race he described more reptilian-like that seemed to be the enemies. You know, very interesting indeed. So check that out, see what you think of that. And one last story, and this goes to Rendlesham. Another former Air Force officer shares their UFO encounter in a British forest. Nearly 40 years ago, a U.S. Air Force officer had a close encounter in a British forest. Steve Longaro revealed recently that he witnessed the infamous Rendlesham Forest incident in Suffolk, England in 1980, which eventually was dubbed as Britain's Roswell. Many military officers have come forward claiming they saw a UFO during a stretch of mysterious December nights. Longaro thinks it was something out of this world. On the first night extraterrestrials were reported on December 26, 1980, the former Air Force officer was on duty. He recalled that they had a very sophisticated alarm system, but it just went off. He claimed that it was kind of quiet when a UFO hovered over the trees and they just could not identify it. They had unidentified flying object appeared to follow or watch them. According to Longaro, the alleged UFO reportedly had fluorescent lights flickering red and green. One of Longaro's fellow officers, Colonel Charles Holt, recently published his book, The Halt Perspective, detailing their close encounter in the British forest. Okay. Longaro said that Colonel Holt came forward after they had and gave instructions on what they were going to do. So all these years later, and they're still trying to figure out what went on in Rendlesham. We've heard various testimony. I don't know why it's taken these gentlemen so long to come out. They're supposed to be brave men who shouldn't be worried about what they saw, but you could see that people in military settings seem to be really nervous and terrified at times about coming forward with what they know, which is too bad. It's a shame that we're in a society like that, but that's where we are. Hopefully things will change as we continue to demand the truth about things. All right, there you go. That is our UFO news. Stay tuned. I will be back momentarily.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
All right, let's continue on looking for the truth. Okay, so there's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot going on in America. A lot going on in America. So let's start looking at some of this information and news that's going on. First and foremost, let's talk about the election. We've got recounts that have been taking place. Jill Stein, who has shown herself to, without a shadow of a doubt, be working for Hillary, is pushing to get these recounts done. Yesterday she was on Neil Cavuto. She gave herself away when at one point in time she said, oh, well, Hillary would get those votes if Donald doesn't, and gave herself away that she was working for Hillary. And then her lawyer also said something to the effect of how if Jill didn't get those votes or wasn't trying to, that things could change for Hillary. It's now out of the bag. Question is, why on the same day are they both making similar type of comments? Have they come to the understanding that they've ruined their career, that she's really making a mistake, and are they trying to backpedal and throw Hillary under the bus now that they've gotten involved? Well, I don't know what she's going to do, but Jill Stein, you've made a really silly error. You got in bed with the criminal family Clintons and the Soroses, and now you're going to, unfortunately, be caught up in that credibility issue because of it. So let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Florida, or the recount in Michigan, came to a conclusion. Federal judge halts recount, sealing Trump's Michigan win. A federal judge who ordered Michigan to begin its recount effectively ended it on Wednesday, tying his decision to a state court ruling that found Green Party candidate Jill Stein had no legal standing to request another look at the ballots. The ruling seals Republican Donald Trump's narrow electoral victory over Democratic Hillary Clinton in Michigan. U.S. District Judge Mark Goldsplit agreed with Republicans who argued that the three-day recount must end a day after the state appeals court dealt a blow to the effort. Stein, who finished fourth in Michigan on November 8th, didn't have a chance of winning even after a recount, and therefore isn't an aggrieved candidate, the appeals court says. All right, well, someone with a sense of common sense understood that this was going on. So Michigan's off. Now in Wisconsin, they're continuing on with the recounts, and Donald Trump continues to pull ahead in the lead over there. Pennsylvania, she missed a deadline. She's trying to push forward to sue them so that she can go forward with her recount. But Pennsylvania's kind of coming up with a similar assessment there, that this woman has no standing to do that. She came in fourth place. And by now it is becoming knowledgeable to people who are paying attention that Jill Stein is nothing more than a surrogate for Hillary Clinton, and that is throwing a monkey wrench into things as well, because, you know, they understand. People are starting to see what's going on here. Now, crazy thing here is in Michigan, in Detroit, in Wayne County, they couldn't count votes there anyway because they've discovered a huge amount of Democratic voter fraud. And so now they're just saying, well, since we've had so many inconsistencies, we're not even going to bother to count Detroit or Wayne County because, well, we have problems. Rather than weed out what those problems are and bring those problem makers to justice for what they've done and hold them accountable for their actions, they're just going to sweep it under the rug. Now, there's a recount that they're doing in Nevada, and that is uncovering some interesting things. It's uncovering, again, voter fraud for Hillary, because they're finding that in Clark County, there's a lot of dead people that voted. A lot of people, they have upwards of 9,200 votes just in one area, in one precinct, that they're uncertain about. And a number of those are on the active voter rolls. Well, they happen to be dead. So there's a problem there in Clark County. And this, what they're finding as they're continuing to do these recounts, is it's exposing voter fraud by the Democratic Party. Remember the Project Veritas videos that came out where we heard the Democratic representative talking about the voter fraud? Well, that's exactly what is going on there, voter fraud. Now, yesterday I brought up a story about fake news because the agenda the mainstream media is trying to push is everything other than them is fake news. Because they want you to believe that if you're watching their network, what they're telling you is the absolute truth. I believe last night Megyn Kelly even said something that people aren't listening to what the news is telling them. Of course we aren't, Megyn, because we know you are lying to us. And eventually people get tired of being lied to. So, well, Megyn Kelly and the other like her will take their money and then betray Americans by going and lying to them. There are those who prefer not to be lied to. So we've got the mainstream media talking about fake news, trying to point out that things are fake, and guess what? You can't make this up. Washington Post now admits that its story about fake news was a fake news story. A few days ago, I wrote about how Washington Post was committing credibility suicide with its obviously fabricated Craig Timberg story, accusing Natural News and 199 other websites of being fake news, sources controlled by the Russian government. Now, after the discredited newspaper has been threatened with lawsuits by several of the websites named in the Washington Post cited source, they've all but admitted the entire story was fake to begin with. Wednesday evening, the Washington Post added an editor's note to the top of their story, which essentially admits the Washington Post slandered and defamed 200 websites by reporting fabricated, false news derived from sources that even they no longer think are legitimate, without offering any direct apology or refraction of their blatantly false and extremely irresponsible fake news story. Washington Post editors have now added this weasel words half apology. Says, editor's note, the Washington Post on November 24th published a story on the work of 4 sets of researchers who have examined what they say are Russian propaganda efforts to undermine American democracy and interests. One of them was Proper Not, a group that insists on public anonymity, which insists a report identifying more than 200 websites that, in its view, wittingly or unwittingly published or echoed Russian propaganda. A number of these sites have objected to being included on Proper Not's list, and some of the sites, as well as others not on the list, have publicly challenged the group's methodology and conclusions. The Post, which did not name any of the sites, does not itself vouch for the validity of Proper Not's findings regarding any individual media outlet, nor did the article purport to do so. Since publication of the Post story, Proper Not has removed some sites from its list. In other words, the Washington Post relied heavily on the discredited fake news group Proper Not as its primary source, and now admitting that they can't be trusted. Number one rule, as far as I'm aware, in journalism, you go and look for more than one source of a story. The mainstream media violates this all the time. They tell you information, they tell you stories, and they don't back it up with any sorts of proof. So they've told you a fake story. They try to say that what we're doing is telling fake stories, and then they are caught telling a fake story about fake stories. It's called hypocrisy, my friends. Hypocrisy. Okay? So let's look at some more hypocrisy that's going on. CNN spends a lot of time telling those who are Trump supporters and telling those who don't have their particular mindset that they are racist. How many times have you heard CNN say that? That others are racist and blaming people for being racist and all this other nonsense. Well, now, again, you can't make this up. Black employee files class action lawsuit against CNN and Turner. This was posted Wednesday by Rodney Ho on his AJC Radio and TV Talk blog. Former and current black employees on Tuesday filed a class action lawsuit against Atlanta-based CNN, Turner Broadcasting and New York-based parent company Time Warner for racial discrimination as a result of the current discrimination lawsuit filed on behalf of Dwayne Walker versus CNN, Time Warner, and Turner. We've uncovered stories involving abuse of power, nepotism, revenge, retaliation, and discrimination, says Daniel Meacham in a press release. The press release provided a photo of Dwayne Walker, a CNN producer who sued CNN individually in January for $50 million for racial discrimination and retaliation for filing a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. He accused CNN of not promoting him over 13 years because he is black, skipped over frequently promotions in favor of white employees. Walker is an integrated marketing manager at CNN. He is not actually plaintiff in this particular case, but a client of Meacham's, and his individual lawsuit is still active. All right, so there you go. Another bit of hypocrisy. So CNN will tell us we're racist, we're racist, we're racist, when then they get sued for racism. You see the hypocrisy? There's this trend with the liberal mindset to point at people and accuse them of the very things that they are doing. We've now seen a couple of examples of it, telling us that we're doing fake news when they themselves are doing fake news stories, telling us that we're racist when in fact they themselves are racist. Hillary Clinton telling us she supports women and women's rights, and then it's find out that people that work for Hillary, women get paid less than men. You know, on and on and on we can find hypocrisy within the liberal mindset. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre to see all the violence coming from the liberal agenda as well. I don't understand it, especially when we've kept hearing for so long about the peaceful people out there, the peaceful liberals, the tolerant liberals. Apparently the liberals aren't so peaceful and tolerant. Apparently they're angry and violent, and they only want their way, and if they can't get their way, well, they're going to call us names. They're going to find ways to be violent, and they're going to be a regular disruption to society. Look at the upcoming inauguration. You've got Michael Moore involved with an idea to go out and disrupt the inauguration. You know what that's called? It's called treason. When you decide that you're going to fight against your government, well, now if your government's doing bad things, I understand. So I understand you have to look at both sides of the fence, because there's times when one side thinks the other side's doing something bad and the left legitimately believes the right is doing something bad. But if the people on the left would just take a time out, a pause for the cause, you will find that there are some really good things happening. Look how the stock market has been affected over this last couple of weeks since Trump's been in. Look how jobs and employers are willing to come back to America. This man is going to do the things he said he is going to do. So we just need to be patient and allow ourselves the opportunity. Let's not micromanage what he's doing. Let's give him the opportunity. You know, people say, well, he's talking to people that, have been part of the swamp. Maybe, but probably a lot of people in Washington are part of the swamp. But one thing I do know is not everybody involved that's working in there probably is bad. And when you get a good leader, like Donald Trump, a good leader can take and whip someone in shape. They can bring the best out in people. And that's what I believe is one of his great qualities, bringing out the best in the people that work for him or work with him. Now, yesterday, one of the picks that he made was very interesting. He chose to head up the Small Business Administration, someone probably completely out of the box. The woman who was involved with professional wrestling, Linda McMahon. Trump chooses pro wrestling magnate Linda McMahon to head the SBA. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said Wednesday that he will nominate professional wrestling magnate and former Senate candidate Linda McMahon as his choice to head the Small Business Administration. Trump's announcement said McMahon would be a key player in his effort to generate strong job growth and roll back federal regulations. McMahon, 68, is a co-founder and former CEO of the professional wrestling franchise WWE, which is based in Stamford, Connecticut. She ran unsuccessfully for U.S. Senate seat in Connecticut in 2010. She was an early supporter of Trump's presidential campaign. The SBA, which has at least one office in every U.S. state, provides support to small businesses, such as by extending loans and making sure they get a percentage of federal contracts. Well, this is certainly thinking outside the box, isn't it? I think it's awesome. I think it's very awesome that we have this woman's experience. People may laugh and say, oh, he chose someone from professional wrestling. You know what? He chose a businesswoman who was involved with a business that was extremely successful. Any small business owner would love to have a portion of the success that the WWE had. So if she, through her experience, can help small businesses, well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Another thing Trump did yesterday was he hired a new person for the EPA. And the person he hired was a person who had sued the EPA for various regulations and things that they were or weren't doing. So now this person is going to be in at the EPA. So I think Donald's doing an awesome job. I'm not interested in micromanaging. I trust that this man who wrote the book is going to bring out the best in the people around him and know how to bring out the best. I'm not concerned about the people who he's going to talk to, like Rahm Emanuel, because Donald Trump is going to be the president of the United States, and Rahm Emanuel happens to be a mayor in one of the cities, a very large city in the United States. Therefore, Trump is going to have to communicate with him and every city where there's a mayor or a politician. So a business person deals with people. A business person negotiates. Trump ran the election. He was a politician. But the way he's going to operate and do things is not from a political standpoint. That's not his background. He's going to do things from a business standpoint. He said he was going to put the best people in positions to help, and that's what he's doing. The best people in the positions to help, not politicians, but business people. And if we look at who he's putting in place in the areas to help, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. So let's just keep watching what he's doing. Now, so much has come to light, so much truth because of the whistleblowers that are out there. And Julian Assange has been a huge, important piece of this puzzle through the whole WikiLeaks program. Now, I know WikiLeaks is being deemed by the mainstream media as fake news because they're trying to fake you out, but WikiLeaks isn't fake news. WikiLeaks has a reputation of getting it right. That is why, not just in America, but throughout the world, they have a reputation of quality information because they make sure. They check their sources, they check before they put things out. So we haven't heard a lot from Julian Assange, but now we have this statement that just recently came out by him, so I want to read this. Julian Assange, his testimony. 6 years ago today, December 7th, 2010, I was handcuffed and locked into Wadsworth Prison by order of Swedish prosecutor Marianne Nye. I had not and still have not been charged with an offense. The claimed grounds for my arrest and extradition without charge were so that Nye could question me. But it was not until 6 years later, 3 weeks ago, that I was actually questioned for the first time. I've decided to release my response, but first, some background. I am Australian. I'm not Swedish. I do not speak Swedish. I've never resided in Sweden. I'm entirely innocent. I was already cleared of exactly this allegation in 2010 by the chief prosecutor of Stockholm, Eva Fine, who closed the case. During the height of the Pentagon's conflict with me, the following month, the allegation was resurrected by the current prosecutor, Marianne Nye. It was immediately seized on to extinguish my freedom of movement and harm my reputation. Without even bothering to take my statement, the Swedish prosecution authority broke its own rules and released my name to the tabloid newspaper. Prosecutor Nye went on to produce more than 40 press releases and press conferences about me. As a result, to this day, more than 500,000 web pages falsely conflate my name with the word rape. For 6 years, I've called my statement to be taken so that the preliminary investigation might again be swiftly closed. In February this year, the United Nations found that Prosecutor Nye has caused Sweden and the UK to breach their international human rights obligations. UN found that her actions are subjecting me to cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment and an unlawful deprivation of liberty which must immediately cease. Finally, as a result, last month, Marianne and I sent a deputy and a policewoman to London to question me over 2 days, but true to form, my Swedish lawyer was excluded from the room in yet another breach of my basic rights. On the 30th November, the United Nations reaffirmed its decision in relation to my case. I am now releasing my statement to the public. The reason is simple. I want people to know the truth about how abusive the process has been. Furthermore, in the past, the prosecution has fed partial information to tabloids that politically oppose me. It's better that my statements, which I'm happy with and which make it obvious that I'm innocent, see the full light. Okay, we've got a link to this here. The full text. You can go through. There's now Twitter messages that are going out there linking to the information, how he was framed by the police officers. And so a lot of things are coming to light, okay? A lot of things that we've been told. So if they've been telling you WikiLeaks is, that Julian Assange is a bad person, he's done these bad things, you've been listening to fake news. Okay, you see how they do that? They lie to the American people. They present fake news, and then they think that we're stupid for not believing it. You know, a couple of years ago, Obama did sign an order that allowed propaganda to be done on the American people. Propaganda is information designed to get people to think your way. And so the government now can legally create information. Can be fake, it doesn't have to be real. They can create propaganda against the American people and basically lie to the American people without repercussion because it is now part of the NDAA, signed in by Obama. So we need to fix this. We need to get back to truthfulness and honesty, and all this other BS that they're doing. It's not part of truthfulness and honesty. So where do we go from here? Well, every day we're barraged with all this information. Every day we have an opportunity to process this information maybe a little differently than the day before, perhaps do something, find a way to become a little bit better. We've been going through these processes all our life. And more importantly, we've been going through these processes for multiple lives. So here we are in 2016, and we're here on Earth and we're having experiences. And some people are having experiences where they are thinking of themselves as perhaps another gender than they currently are. Or maybe that they're in a different profession, or that they're a different type of person than they are. There's lots of different examples of people dragging up memories and past life experiences, or experiences that lead and talk about other lifetimes that they would not normally know about. So we go through these processes. We go through a process of recycling. The recycling process is called reincarnation or rebirth, where our energy goes into the physical body. We live out a lifetime. When that lifetime ends, our physical body shuts down. We leave. Our spirit goes back between the spirit realms, and then we enter another body again in order to learn another lesson, in order to move through life and continue our process of growth. Now, when we go into a body the second time or another time, it might not be the same type of body. Maybe one lifetime we went in as a white person, and we learned lessons about the white person. And so maybe the next lifetime we go in as a black person. And maybe the next time as a brown person. Maybe one time we go in as a female. Maybe another time as a male. We try different ways because it gives us a well-rounded experience of what is this going on in life. And when we have a well-rounded experience, when we have an opportunity to look at another person through their eyes, then we're able to become more peaceful as a society because we are able to relate to somebody else, relate to who another person is, perhaps have some compassion for the situation that they're in. We're all in this together, but when we continue to separate ourselves and segregate ourselves, it doesn't do us any good. It actually takes a step backward from who and what we're about. But the reason those things are happening is because people are being lied and misled. So we need to take a good look at the processes and the information that we're learning to know if we're being deceived or not. Here's a really good article in regards to reincarnation. This is over at Educating Humanity. It says, you made a plan before you were born, your pre-birth plan. The theory that we plan our lives was something I never heard before 2011. Up until that point, I could not even imagine such a thing. Even after hearing about it 3 years ago, it took me quite a long time to let this concept into my paradigm. How I stumbled upon it wasn't even my avid research of the afterlife or reincarnation. I came through it through a vision I had. Before the vision, I believed in reincarnation. The idea had always been fascinating to me, and I felt strongly that I did have past lives. I just didn't know what and who those lives were and what they entailed. After 3 years of intense research and listening to many people from all different backgrounds and beliefs speak about it from around the world, I knew it was something I needed to share and to discuss. It says many people feel that reincarnation can't exist because they don't remember their past, and my answer to the world is we do remember. We don't have the details, but we have certain key hints as to who we are, the type of music we like, the people who are certain attracted to, the types of food we like, the clothing we wear, certain periods of history that we identify with. These are indications this is where we have been before, and so our present incarnation and our present lifetime is a composite of all of the fruits of what we were before. Comes to us from Carrie Williams, co-author of Reincarnation, A New Horizon. Now it says, through my research, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth has been pretty much the same from all sources. And I studied, and there were many. And it all starts with a pre-birth plan. You establish this plan with a council. Some people call this council the elders or the wise ones. Pretty much they are very old beings who know their stuff, so to speak. You meet with them along with your spirit guides. You discuss the life ahead of you, and you are given the choice of a few different lives to pick up in the current time period you are incarnating into. To give you an example, I was given the choice of being an artist or a samurai in Japan. You choose everything, including your parents. Once you choose, you have to... The choices have been given to you, and you pick one, the tedious task of planning all the things you wish to experience in the upcoming life. Experience isn't the only thing we seek. We have goals to meet, challenges to overcome. Some wish to learn patience, to overcome jealousy. Many people have debated this theory, but also choose to clear up karma. To me, clearing up karma means simply creating a balance. There are a few things like healing, contrast, and healing false belief. When the life plan is being created, our guides are there with us, creating what Robert Schwartz describes his life as a flow chart. Flow chart is a plan, but the plan with a free will incorporated into it. He goes into great detail about flow chart in an interview he did on Afterlife TV. The link's right here. Our guides also create synchronicities in our life to trigger certain things in us and guide us to the best path to help us master our goals. After the plan is placed, we are born and we forget the plan of who we truly are. Now that's the big challenge, the forgetting part, or shall I say the remembering. Quote from Dolores Cannon. She says, you close your eyes to the past in order to reopen them to a new experience. You can get more by forgetting. That's from Teal Swan. Dolores Cannon says it wouldn't be a test if you knew the answers. Forgetting is an integral part of the plan. It's how we truly get to know ourselves and live in the current life we are living. Dolores and Teal give really great simple explanations of it. We're living in the time of remembering, and many of us are remembering who we are and why we came to Earth at this time. Those who haven't fully awakened to our abilities but wish to have more insight on who they are and why they are here seek out mediums or people who are in tune with the higher frequencies. All right, and there we go, a little bit more here on the subject. I'm going to leave that for you to deal with. The whole point being that life is a continual process of us growing, of us learning how to be better, do better, have better experiences, continue to grow. And so sometimes in order to grow, we have to learn things that are opposite of what we understand. We learn all about what's taking place so we can make better decisions. That's what it's all about. That's why we switch from body to body to body. If we could just simply step back in our society right now and look at that, it might resolve a lot of our problems, because we might not have all of these racial divides that are going on, because we step back and we realize perhaps the people who are living this lifetime as white people Perhaps they were black people in another lifetime. Maybe during the slavery days, maybe the people who are white now were the slaves back then. And maybe those who are black right now, maybe they were the slave masters during those times. And so now we're here in this same mix, except the roles are reversed. We get to find out who has compassion and who doesn't. Who has hatred in their heart and who doesn't. We find out a lot about ourselves. But I think it's quite possible that the roles are reversed. I think that there are those who are living in this lifetime that, are experiencing the ideas of gender being male or female, not knowing which is which because they're remembering past lives where they were another one of these genders, male or female. And so I think there's a lot of bleed through and part of the remembering that's going on. We don't want to remember necessarily who we were in another lifetime if it's going to affect us adversely in this lifetime. We want to remember things from our past that are going to help us in the present. If we think of this as one long stretch of learning, and it's our spirit that is going to school and learning these things, and each one of these lifetimes is like going into another classroom. In each classroom we get a different outfit to wear, and the outfit is the body we choose to go into. If we think of this as one long line, then each one of these lives is just another classroom, another opportunity to learn, and then we come back and we learn something else. It's quite the process, my friends, and we're all a part of it. No one's immune from this. And when we key into understanding that we're all part of this process of growth, of learning, it really makes a tremendous difference to our evolutionary process, our cycle, how our society operates. Remember I mentioned before, we have psychological issues and deal with psychology, personal psychology, on an individual basis. But then when we have the whole group, that individual psychology becomes part of a bigger sociology. Sociology from the word social. So our ideology has come now from the group, and we know that a group thinks differently than an individual. A group can be motivated and moved along just like an individual can. And those who are in the media understand how to move groups of people around simply by strategically having bits of information in certain places, and then they use it to push you. It's like the example I keep giving of the mainstream media. They're like sheepdogs. The dogs look different. The dog at Fox looks different than the dog at CNN, and the dog at CNN looks different than the dog from MSNBC. But they're all sheepdog, and they're all gathering the sheeple, and they're all leading everybody exactly to the same pen. It's not like Fox has a certain pen over here and CNN's pen. It's all the same place. They have these different analysts on the show who lead you to think that they're different, but they're basically the same. Now, we are seeing instances where there are those who are expressing themselves differently these days, those who are being more truthful and honest, which is great. And that kind of throws a monkey wrench into their whole mix of what they're trying to do to control. But nonetheless, it's a concerted effort to control the masses because individual psychology is used to affect group in the larger sociological picture. Okay, does that make sense? Now, as we're dealing with all of this energy, as we're dealing with the past lives experiences, and we're dealing with the present life issues, we are affected each and every day because we're moving in this sea of energy. And so it's important to understand what are some of the cycles going on. Is this the full cycle of everything that's taking place, this astrological? Only on one level. And here on Earth, the way that the cycle is moving, it's a cycle that we can look at and say is a cycle that does happen and move, and if we can understand this cycle, perhaps it helps us to understand a little bit more about our psyche. Okay, we have cycles to understand about psyche. And so as we learn about these things and are affected by these things, our being, our life is affected in many different ways. Here's an article, 9 of the most common health conditions and their 9 psychospiritual causes. Our mind, body, and emotions are intimately connected via a miraculous network of nerves and cells that make up our endocrine, immune, and nervous systems. Each thought that we think, every emotion we feel, every interaction we are involved with has an impact on our overall health. Let's take a close look at 9 of the most common health conditions that have a distinct emotional component. As with all illness, no two people will have exactly the same profile, but this list might get you pointed in the right direction. Both the traditional and alternative medicine acknowledge this link between excess stress and disease, but simply blaming health problems on stress is not specific enough. My own experience, I've come to realize that our perception is what is stressful is actually the most important factor, whether or not a given circumstance contributes to ill health. Please note that I have used the word contributes, not causes. All disease has emotional, psychological, spiritual, nutritional, and physical dimensions, each of which plays a distinct role in the dance of health. I will focus on the close link between health and emotions, moods and attitudes, a crucial connection that can literally set the stage for health or illness. However, my purpose is not to oversimplify the causes of disease or the pathways of healing. We need to consider all the above dimensions as we tap into our potential for being the creators of our own health. So in other words, what this is saying, the things that we think about affect our health. If we, for example, watch the mainstream news and we get stressed out by the stories they are telling, our health is going to be affected by what we choose to believe from what they are telling us. As we move through life with these various belief patterns that we get from the media or from friends or from employers or from wherever it comes from, our lives are affected because we take those beliefs into us. And changing these belief patterns is the secret of how we move forward. Motivational speakers like Anthony Robbins are experts on showing people how to change their patterns of belief so that they can move forward with a new system of programming. Again, the word programming comes into the mix because if we think of ourselves as like computers, we can be programmed. We can either program ourselves or we could sit back and just allow others to program us according to the way they wish. It happens every day. When you turn on a television, we're turning on programming. Something that is programming the viewer to believe a certain thing or an idea. Okay? So we think things, they affect our body. Louise Hay has a whole book about this, about the way in which different body parts are affected by different stressors in the world, belief patterns, and so on. So here are some things. Arthritis and joint pain. It's telling us to release our resentments. Back pain. It's dealing with the ideas of support. Cancer. It's an emotional connection. The astrological sign of Cancer is the crab. Crab tells us to put the shell on to protect ourselves from the emotions, because what Cancer is a system where our emotions are eating us. We're eating ourselves with our emotions. That's what Cancer is all about. We fix that and we change the situation. Eating disorders. It's around the ideas of our feeling safe. Sometimes we eat to hide our pain. Fatigue, low energy, stuck in a rut. Headaches, making life difficult. Heart disease, letting go of hostility and heartaches. Infertility, ambivalence can play a role. And 9, PMS, getting in touch with the cycle of life. And I'm going to leave you to read this because there's a lot here, but if we look at any life situation that we have, no matter what it is, any physical ailment that we have, if we take the time to examine where that came from and how we got to that point, we'll find that it usually is involved around a belief system that we took on. And when we change that belief system, it changes everything. Okay? So for example, it talks about the back is, it says the back. And one of the things about the back is it's about support. Okay? So if a person is feeling like they don't have any support in life, if their finances are problematic, maybe the people around them, they don't feel supported by them, that person is going to take all of that on, and the back energy sometimes will take on that extra thing, like you're carrying the weight of the world, and so the back starts to feel that. You start understanding and have a different relationship with the support around you, understanding that the universe supports us all the time. Suddenly it frees us up. And so part of the process is learning to use various affirmations or mantras to counteract the negative beliefs that we've taken on. Because we're reprogramming ourselves. That's all we're doing. We're finding the negative phrases or the negative things that have affected us, push the buttons, and we just counteract them with something else. So we're in charge, my friends. We're in charge of what happens to us 100%. And so all we need to do is stay on top of that process by simply continuing to change, continuing to grow, and to evolve. All right, that brings us to our meditation. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now, imagine yourself feeling and taking in all of this energy around us. And imagine your body as the processor of this energy. And I want you to focus on the center of your body along the spine. And I want you to imagine 7 points of light along the spine. These are called chakras, energy points within us. And the first one is at the top of the head, and the color is violet. And this is the crown chakra, and the crown chakra draws in the energy that is pouring from the cosmos. And it enters the crown chakra. We see the color violet. And then that energy moves down from the crown chakra, and it moves down the middle of our spine, straight down the middle of our body from top to bottom. And when it gets to the middle, right between the 2 eyebrows, the color changes to indigo, color between blue and purple. And this indigo color of our 3rd eye, this is the color and this is the chakra that helps us to see through dimensions of space and time. And so we imagine the 3rd eye seeing through all of this physical reality into the reality beyond. And now we let that energy move down from between the eyebrows, and it continues to move down to the throat. And there at the throat area turns blue. And this is the throat chakra. This is how we communicate to the world. So we communicate our energies out into the world. We imagine the color blue as we communicate. This nice, calm, flowing energy. And from there, the energy moves down the center of our body, down to the heart. And we have green for the heart chakra. This is our center of love. So we can just imagine this green love going out into the world, this growth. Love continues to grow, so we just imagine this idea of green, the growth that it represents. And from there, the energy moves down below the rib cage to the solar plexus, and the color is yellow. And this is our intellectual chakra. This connects with the intellectual body, how we think, how our conscious mind is thinking in the world, how our intelligence is connecting us. And the energy continues to move down right to the belly button area where the color is orange, and this is our emotional chakra. This is the chakra where we take in all of the emotions and the feelings and we process it. It's that gut feeling that we have at times. Trust our gut. And that energy continues to move down to the bottom of the spine where the color is red. And this root chakra is the chakra that draws the energy from the earth and grounds us to the earth. Color is red. And there we are, connected to these energies from the cosmos above to the earth below, and we are these collectors of energy. And here we are fully energized as all of the energy of the cosmos pours through us and channels through these chakras. And we imagine, as we go through life, continuing to work in balance with these chakras, so that if we feel something off in life, we can go to that chakra point and we can correct it. So if something intellectually feels off, we go to that yellow solar plexus chakra and we focus on it being balanced. If something feels off emotionally, we focus on the emotional chakra and focus on that being imbalanced. When our ideas and thoughts and feelings of love are affected, we go to the heart chakra, or to communicate to the throat. And so we find ourselves able to correct any challenges or problems simply by understanding the energetic points that we need to go to fix and balance. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, we thank you this day for blessing our lives with the opportunities to learn, to grow, to be ever more who we were designed to be in this earthly reality. We thank you for the blessings of the Christ light that shines bright into the world and flows and emanates through all beings. And we pray that the distractions that get in the way of our shining bright are cleared and removed, so that we may all shine bright, the light and the love of the Christ that flows through each and every one of us. So let's just imagine ourselves walking through life today, observing the world, being fully present and aware as all of our energy centers are activated. And let's just imagine sending out love from that heart chakra, the color green. Let's imagine sending out positivity. Send it out from that crown chakra, the color indigo. And let's just imagine the color blue as a nice calm communication, reaching out to the hearts of each and every human being upon this planet, to all members of the human race. So let the subconscious mind continue in that journey, putting things in order, sending out love, sending out positivity, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. Well, my friends, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Look, we are very much able to affect our lives the way we want to affect them. We're led to believe that we are pushed around by the whim of those around us, when that is absolutely the opposite of the truth. The truth is that there's a spirit that flows through us. And when we connect with that spirit, when we connect with that higher self, there's nothing that the physical world has a hold on us anymore. Because we've connected to the truth, we now can move through the physical world in a much more effective way. Because instead of being at the mercy of the world, we are now an active participant in it, bringing through the spirit that needs to be brought through, because that's who we are. So that's it, my friends. Have an awesome day. I will be back tomorrow with more news and information. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and we'll talk soon. Peace. I'm out of here.